I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha until the heart of enlightenment is reached for the benefit of all sentient beings. I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha until the heart of enlightenment is reached for the benefit of all sentient beings. I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha until the heart of enlightenment is reached for the benefit of all sentient beings. I take refuge in the precious line of teachers who manifest the unified state of Vajradhara, holder of the diamond vehicle, identical in essence with Mahamudra, the great seal of voidness, the path by which all experience is transformed into wisdom and compassion. I take refuge in the union of wisdom and compassion, the empty luminous field, a field of non-clinging awareness with no boundaries and no obstacles. I take refuge in the realization of the nature of mind, the liberation which is free of suffering and non-suffering. I take refuge in the interconnectedness of all phenomena and the bliss of manifestation. I take refuge in the illumination of the undying bodhicitta. So, there you have it. Moving towards our essence, giving space in our lives, giving space in our experience to open up to that which is greater than our normal, limited view of the world and of ourselves. Christmas time, I think, can give people, and particularly Christians, I think, an opportunity in their world, in their life, to give time and give contemplation to that sense of sacredness in life, that sense of light, that sense of joy, and that sense of sacredness. And out of all the things that we're doing here, while we're dealing with our stuff, and as we're enjoying being with each other and practicing together, the underlying motivation is in connecting with a deeper, a more fundamental aspect of our essence. So I really hope that as we move forward in the new year, that we're able to really be with that. We're able to really stay with that. We're able to really consider that. I have a list here I thought might be appropriate to read this evening, and I'm not sure who the author is. I think it might be Lama Mark, but I'm not certain. But I'm going to read it anyway, and it's entitled "Dharma Practice in Daily Life," and it's a 12-step program. And if you want, I can send this to you after class. And I'm just going to go through the list, and it might be an idea to print this out, and have it nearby, have it in your house somewhere. Number 1, abide with authenticity and integrity. Be willing to say yes to develop what matters, and be willing to say no to what is harmful. Take risks and be adventurous. This is not an ad to go to Bodh Gaya with me, just so you know. But it is a little nudge, maybe. But, what greater gift can we give to ourselves is to try to abide with authenticity and integrity, to try to be who we are. There's a lot of this in spiritual practices, there's a way that there's a sense that we have to be somebody else. But you don't have to be somebody else. You need to be you. And what it is that you are is enough. And that's all I'm going to say for the next 12 months. That's enough right there. But be ourselves. Be yourself. Be who you are. And that's okay. And you're here because you have a desire, or you see the importance of diving deeper perhaps into this mystery that's here. And that's part of who you are. But the other parts of you are also valid. And in giving ourselves permission to be who we are, we also give others permission to be who they are. And everybody is who they are through a set of conditionings that they were born into. A lot of people make such harsh judgments on each other. But it's not that we have freedom of choice. We're born into circumstances. We're born into situations. So the path of unfolding is whatever situation we're in, is learning to make wholesome choices. Be willing to say yes to develop what's important and to say no to what's harmful. And you have to figure that out for yourself. What's helpful and what's harmful. Lots of religions have, the golden rule, or the list of golden rules. What is it that's important for you? What is it that is going to give you a sense of authenticity and integrity? And don't be afraid to take risks. Don't be afraid to be adventurous. Don't be afraid not to know. It's a new year. What are you going to do? Who are you going to be? Little kids are always, taking on identities, aren't they? They're playing at being this and they're playing at being that. You put a cape on and you're Superman, just like that. Our identities aren't fixed. We're fluid human beings. So don't fixate on, well, this is who I am. Be open. Take it, be adventurous. Realize what's helpful and what's not. So that's number one. I'm just going to try to go relatively quickly through this. Cultivate daily acts of loving kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity. Know that practice includes wise attention, reflection, inquiry into all forms of relationships. Develop Dharma through ethics, virtue of nonviolence, non-exploitation, mindfulness, concentration, wisdom, seeing, knowing, liberation. Develop love of aloneness and love of connectedness. Especially ensure you spend time with Dharma practitioners and teachers. Listen regularly to Dharma teachings online, download teachings, podcasts, CDs, and guided meditations. Meet very regularly with the Sangha, like-minded women and men of practice. Attend or form a weekly meeting to share a meditative silence to share the Dharma. This is something we can easily do, is find time to focus on teachings, listening to words of wisdom, listening to words of compassion, listening to fellow practitioners who've spent some time on the path, along the path. These are positive influences, right? Place in your calendar at least one residential retreat in the year. I think most of you really understand the truth of this, right? How much meaning has been brought to your practice by being able to come up to the Dharma Center and retreat there. Don't let time slip away. And if you can't come to the Dharma Center, then, well, you do the best that you can, right? You do the best you can. But don't let time slip away. Don't let the year go by. Practice the direct application of mindfulness to the small tasks. Be the God of small things. Practice to live in a sustainable way, including mindfulness of diet, consumer goods, travel, and lifestyle. Read Dharma books, watch insightful talks on YouTube, read important passages consciously and slowly. Let the insights sink in. Fiction, nonfiction, poetry, prose can provide insights into the human condition. Regard practice as involving the whole day, not just any formal meditation periods in the morning and evening. And overall, take a profound interest in the threefold human process of intentions, actions, results. You can use these 12 points as a checklist or a reminder of how to move through your day, or what to include in your day. So as you look at the year ahead, it's important to have focus, isn't it? Otherwise the days just get dissipated. And sure, there's a lot of things going on, and there's a lot of things that need to be attended to, and lots of times you're very far away from a retreat state of mind, but there's other things you can do. And they're just as important. The idea of the paramis, building up the paramis, building up spiritual qualities, building up strengths. So as we move through our life, as we evolve, we have the capacity to be able to integrate the teachings, to be able to integrate the insights that we have into our being. The more we do all this other stuff, the greater the capability is, the greater the capability is that when we come across the teaching, when we come across the Dharma, when we come across insights within our own being, to be able to absorb them and let them become part of who we are. So in this path of concentration, in this path of ethics and paramis, in this path of wisdom and insight, all of these things need to come together. All of these things need to be developed to give us a chance. To give us a chance to truly integrate and understand that which really matters, and to be able to integrate the insights that we're shown. And of course, one of the greatest practices is the practice of loving kindness towards ourselves, being okay with who we are, and being okay with who other people are. And understanding it's a fluid, it's a movement. It's not static. Who you are is not a static thing. It's an evolving thing. But we have to keep refocusing ourselves, don't we? We have to keep moving towards that light. Moving towards ourselves. I think one of the worst things is the feeling of being stuck. But if you are applying these principles, you're not stuck. You are moving forward. A couple of more things I wanted to say. So these types of teachings are really important. But, you know, I always come back to the view. We always come back to the more profound, the wider perspective. And here is something from Ontul Rinpoche. And this is a really good expression of the more profound nature, I think, of the path. When one is training in the view, when one is training in recognizing the infinite great expanse. And I hope when I say words like this, by this point in time, you have a sense of that. The infinite great expanse. These aren't just words. This is pointing to your own awareness. This is pointing to you. Recognizing the infinite great expanse. Like, wow. But no, not wow. The infinite great expanse is this. Do you understand that? Do you have a sense of that? It's everything that is not identifying with form, that is not identifying with being static and stuck. When one is training in the view, when one is training in recognizing the infinite great expanse, it is said that one should not think that appearances of cyclic existence are bad. One should not conceptualize that there is something to be abandoned or discarded. Likewise, one does not seek to accomplish the attainment or the state of nirvana, the state beyond sorrow. Instead, one should recognize that within the Dharmatata, within the absolute expanse, all aspects of both samsara and nirvana are complete. This completeness of everything being within the ground of Dharmatata, within the ground of being, the absolute nature, the absolute expanse is referred to as spontaneously present nature. When we stay spontaneously present, we are referring to something that is not created through effort. You can't actually make it so. Samsara and nirvana are not shoved into the absolute nature. You are not shoved into the absolute nature. The absolute nature, this absolute expanse, within this great expanse is inherently and spontaneously present. And I know that needs no explanation. But this is the profound view. This is the underlying view. And so when I say something like, that it's not about changing who you are, when I say things like you're okay to be okay with what it is, who it is you are, that it's not about becoming a better or a different person, but actually understanding who you are. So that sense of being okay with who you are opens up the door to this expansive view. Even though you might not understand the depth or the profundity of that statement in a full or complete way, being okay with what is, being okay with who you are, is standing at this door. This is what's on the other side of that door. But as long as we're fighting ourselves and as long as we're fighting the world, we don't have a chance of seeing this. But the minute we drop that, there's a chance for the light to shine through. So it's important to have this wider view. Even when we're down in the trenches, working with the muck, dealing with the muck, don't forget the higher view. And study that as well. Find teachings, find expressions of it that really register with you. One of the points about to read Dharma, read important passages consciously and slowly. Let the insights sink in. So that's what that is, right? Because that vast expanse, if you will, is already here, is already what you are. And if you're fighting with yourself, and if you're spending your days putting yourself down, telling yourself what's wrong with yourself or what's wrong with the world, you're missing the point. And when you hear phrases like the vast expanse, the Dharmakaya, the ground of being, listen to those phrases with your heart. Those phrases, those ideas are meant to stop your mind. They should confuse you. They should make you think. Hopefully they stimulate you. Like, what does that really mean? Is it just a bunch of gobbledygook? Or is it pointing to something else? And then we go into the meditation, and the meditation is bringing us to that door of openness and quietness, where we can sit and listen, where we can sit and watch. There's something else. Oh. And so in the meditation that we do, in the meditation on the breath, and I'm going to be doing more of the Ajahn Lee meditation in the next little while, we're exploring the breath and we're exploring the body in a really, really subtle way. We come to this place where our attention is subtle and grounded, not wandering, and really opening up to the experience of sensation and experience of the body. And at some point, that turns into something else. at some point it regulates, if you will, the nervous system, the energy system, so that the mind has the capacity to sit in a very quiet, watchful state. And we practice this again and again and again.